talk about is how do they determine your purchasing power?
Purchasing power, right? So that debt to income ratio, as we talked about, that's where the data is, right? It's how much do I make, how much are the house prices right now, and where are our current interest rates? And there's a couple of different strategies that you can utilize for interest rates. You have to be really honest about, is this your first home?
Mm-hmm.
Because your first home strategy is different than your second or third or fifth home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if this is your first home, understand that, and consult with the tax attorney or whoever you got to do. But there's some great benefits for you when it comes to capital gains taxes and leveraging that at the end of the 2-year period, that you can then utilize that gain or that equity position you have to maybe sell that first home or maybe turn it into a rental and go on and create the next home and the next home. If you play the game right, within a 10-year period or possibly less, you could have 3 or 4 income generating properties and your primary mortgage as well. And guys, guess what? That affects what? Your net worth, right?
Absolutely.
So that is the greatest way to grow your net worth without being Warren Buffett or somebody like that, right?
I mean, if you're talking about generational wealth, I mean, you want to set up your generational wealth, and the best way, in my opinion, is property. So that's something that I'm utilizing, and I enjoy it, and the returns are better than any other savings market out there. I mean, it's ridiculous when you actually crunch the numbers. But so
it's almost performed as well as Microsoft. So if you look historically back, I can say that I have helped several people, been in this industry long enough. If you can't tell from the gray hair, been around long enough to have helped somebody get their first home, and then that person's child to grow to become an adult and get them their first home. And guess what? The whole family is doing so much better, right? And it starts at an early age. That education, they teach you a lot of other nonsense maybe in high school. Financial literacy should be a very important one at the top of the list. So if they're not teaching it in your school, get that education elsewhere. And parents, there's a lot of great resources to plug into. But the generational wealth is really where it is at. You don't need a college degree, some sort of Ivy League certifications. You don't need to be able to dunk a basketball, because I can't. So those things don't exclude you from owning a home, becoming a multi-millionaire, in a very short period of time.
Yeah, really. The other thing I wanted to touch on too, first-time home buyers, if you've never purchased a home before and you're out there and you're like, well, I don't want this and I don't want that and I don't want this, and you find something you can afford, something that may not be ideal, something that you may not
Perfect.
If it's 4 walls and a roof and it's not dumping rain on you, it's a starting point, and it is equity and it is leverage, and you got to start somewhere, and you cannot take off from nothing into a beautiful 4,000 square foot home, forever home, unless you've got pockets full of cash. But starting somewhere is so important, and to know what the steps in the process are in order to get to that first point is all the 6 months leading up to it, credit, health, and making sure that you have substantial history.
Assets. And credit history, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it'll get you in that door. In a few years, you wrap that equity up into your next upgrade, and then you go further, and your income doesn't even have to change a whole lot, because whatever it is you're putting down on these new properties, it's offsetting the monthly payment. So it may not even be much more than what you're paying now, and you'll own it, and you'll be able to sell it, and you'll be able to utilize it for whatever it is that you want to do.
There's a couple of different schools of thought on this. It's not only is it your equity position doesn't just add to your bottom line or your net worth, but it also gives you access to a potential savings plan for yourself. Every dollar that you gain in equity is money that you actually saved. It's going in your piggy bank, that it removes it from yourself, so you don't take that trip to Vegas and and join me at the roulette wheel. So but there's a lot of things that having equity can actually help you in. Not only that, but I want you guys to understand, I'll talk, of course, to your financial planner. Our disclaimer, we're not financial advisors. Please consult with a professional. We'll put that at the bottom of the video. But when you're talking about your tax position, it's always better as a homeowner. When you're talking about that equity growth and the ability to even use things, if your employer right now gives a 401k and they give any sort of 401k match or whatever, did you guys realize that in a lot of circumstances, you can borrow from that 401k without a penalty as your down payment. Think about what you actually so you don't get hit with the penalties for early withdrawal on some of those things for a down payment. Now that was how it was a couple of years ago for some of the clients that I helped then. But of course, look at current code. Why all these disclaimers? Everybody's world. But that's sort of what you guys need to do is look at things you have available. But keep in mind, a USDA loan. Now Arizona. This is for our Arizona folks out here. We happen to be sitting in near Florence, kind of, right? It's not really Florence, Santan Valley, but because what they call the USDA eligibility hasn't caught up with the growth of Arizona.
Right.
So there are homes, we're sitting in a beautiful subdivision right now where these homes are actually USDA qualified, meaning that if you make you don't make over a certain amount of money, you're within the average median income range. You want to check the stats at this time, but you get 100% loan. And there's a USDA government loan guarantee that's financed in as well, 1% of that. But it's 100% loan, guys, no down payment needed. And there's so many sellers, and you could speak to this, how many sellers right now are willing to give closing costs as incentives?
Yeah.
A lot. And FHA, VA, USDA, they can do up to 6% contribution, but they're oftentimes giving other incentives as well. So it's not just all about the new builds. Consider, resale, because you have a home with mature landscaping, all the bugs have been worked out, all of the things are going on, you have termite inspections, you have different assurances and home warranties you can purchase as well, where a lot of builders are giving incentives for your new build, for your interest rates and other things, but there's just as good of incentives coming on resales right now. And let someone else that's like, there isn't depreciation like there is in a car. You're taking a positive cash flowing type of a property, and you're acquiring something that's already a great asset that you're not going to spend a lot of money to fix the backyard and all of the things, but jump into it and still get a great interest rate. You guys can come in with kind of zero down. You're going to have to pay things like your taxes and insurance, your impounds for that sort of stuff, but a lot of those fees can be taken by seller concessions. Never been a better time, especially in Arizona. I can't speak to the national market, but in Arizona, never a better time to grab a home under a USDA loan. They're phenomenal, and the rates are super low right now. I can't quote exact rates because they've taken too many disclaimers. But reach out to Lena. We can get you the current rates on what's going on right now in the market.
So, and it's so important too, because Phoenix is going to grow. I can't even tell you how much it's going to grow with all the industry coming in. So Phoenix is only so big, and then the outskirts of Phoenix are going to populate, and to get these loans like the USDA, it's a little bit on the outskirts of Phoenix, but it's still a commute. We have great highway systems to get you to work in record time. And the thing right now is that it is the most affordable. If you're moving to Phoenix or need to go to Phoenix or any of the adjacent areas, there's so many opportunities for homes right now that are very affordable. If you're getting right into the city, it's going to be higher dollar. But if you're expanding, go a little bit out, because those are going to start growing, and those are going to start becoming a lot more expensive.
For our California folks, I'm sure there's a few of you watching now, you guys, come on, don't talk to me about traffic. Have you been on the 5 recently? It takes an hour to go 10 minutes away. You can get anywhere in Phoenix, from the Southeast Valley where we are right now, into downtown Phoenix in less than 45 minutes on average. In a high traffic day, you're there in an hour. You can't go from San Diego to almost to Carlsbad in 45 minutes.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
And that's a short hop up the 5.
Right.
You can get all the way across town in an hour. Here.
Exactly.
So yes, a lot of your bad drivers came over here. I apologize. I couldn't stop anything. But so there's not a whole lot that we could.
Incrementally, it's growing, and they have to do something about that infrastructure, and they are. So just know that there are options for you if you are moving to the Phoenix area for work, and there's going to be so much job opportunities and growth. Phoenix is going to be one of the hubs if it's not already, but it is going to be a hub, and all the outskirt cities are going to populate, and it's really important to get in the game sooner than later.
I can tell you, there are some bad moves you can make with your real estate, right? The worst move you can make in real estate?
Not buying.
It's not buying. Exactly. That's the worst move you can make in real estate.
If you got nothing, you can't do anything with nothing. You got more nothing.
Let's get you something. Let's do it. Wonder Twins activate.
A Okay?
About the difference between a wholesaler, you're a wholesaler.
Yes,
Talk about
I'm a
and
broker.
why? Okay, tell me
Because
about.
brokers do it better, baby.
Brokers do it better, baby.
So what it is, and keep in mind now, when you think about lending, you think about your Wells Fargo, your Bank of America, you think about what we would call your institutional lenders. They should be institutionalized.